Hi, welcome to Soul Conversations with Betty Dang. I'm Betty Dang, founder of Dang Foundation and the Pleasure Frequency Project. We help women heal through sexual and emotional trauma, identifying pain points and shifting the mindset so that we can have a positive energy and reconnect to our power. I bring on guest speakers of women who have had powerful journeys to share and inspire others to do the same. Because anything is possible when you shift your mindset. It doesn't hurt to try. Tonight we have Mike and I'm sorry,
That's okay. It's all right. Michon
Michon,
Garemani.
Michon Garemani. She has gone through so much in her life and has dealt with people in trauma. She has a background in psychology and she teaches preschool,
My past life, I had a teaching career for middle school and high school.
middle school, and high school, which
Yeah.
is a difficult age.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about teenagers tonight in our
Okay.
conversation because I have a lot of moms out there who are dealing with difficult teenagers.
Okay.
But before we dive in, we're gonna talk about her Maiken's history and what she does and who she is.
Okay. Perfect. So, do you want to ask me some questions or should I just go ahead and
Go
share?
ahead and talk and tell us a
Okay.
little bit, and I'll ask you questions as it comes out.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Betty, and this audience. Thank you for joining us. And I always am interested in sharing a good message. And so I'm grateful that whoever is here is interested in a good message. I feel like our world is really inundates us with a lot of negativity. So it's really important to have a focus on the positive. Now, here's what's interesting. Sometimes to show what's positive, we actually do talk about what may be negative. And that's so that we can have a good contrast and we understand one from the other. So, my work as a hypnotist and as a coach came about out of personal practical need. I was transitioning through a divorce, and the divorce required me to leave my home and my state. I chose to leave my home and my family and my state and friends and everything I knew and relocate. And so the journey that I personally wanted for myself meant I kind of made myself, I shed all of the typical resources. I no longer lived in the community I grew up in. I could no longer just quickly go over to a friend's home, and availability changed because I moved out of state. And with that came a really important need for me to address what I can do. What can I do for myself? And to find the needed help. So, through the help of traditional therapists and counselors, I started the journey in that vein. But I quickly decided that I didn't just want to be a visitor in someone else's office. I wanted these tools for myself. I actually really wanted to know them, not just be shown them. So for me, I took my healing journey very literally and I certified in integrative somatic trauma therapy and working with the somatic side. Somatic means body. So how does the body literally manifest your trauma? Sometimes it's aches and pains, it's clenching jaws, it's weight gains, who knows how it manifests, headaches. But I trained in somatic healing, and then I also became a certified hypnotist in the state of Washington. So those are real tools that actually I wanted for myself. I wanted to understand how the power of the mind works a little bit more, and I wanted to understand these different modalities. So I was self-applying, right? First, learn it for myself, and then I realized there's a lot of people in the world that I know that could really benefit from this, and others
Mm-hmm.
that don't know where to go, don't know where to start on a healing journey.
Yeah.
there's so many options and so many this and so many that. And I'm grateful that when I do get a chance to talk to people that do want a trauma healed or multiple layers of traumas, usually it's not just one.
Mm,
Um, I am grateful that they are coming to an awareness and a want, believe it or not, are like fundamental and really will take people far. Because if you continue to want it, then you will continue to seek it.
mm,
And that continued seeking leads to some really incredible benefits and outcomes. But it's when we just want to, a lot of people don't make the progress that they ask for or
mm.
that they present that they want because the time it takes. And you have to remind people and you have to remember ourselves, this journey didn't just get us here in one day. This
Mm.
took time
Yes.
and it's going to take time to undo. Um, and we don't learn new tools. It's you can learn of an idea, but the practice of it is where you really begin to understand how to use this in the application of your real life under real contexts of change and
Yes.
stressors or this and that. So, as a trauma coach and a hypnotist, I make sure people have different options too, because coaching is very tool based and a lot of hand holding, which a lot of people need. This is new material. They don't know how to do it.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. The vulnerability is really special too, to be able to walk through with somebody on a very, very intimate journey,
Mm.
um, and to see the change. It's very rewarding, very
Yes,
rewarding.
it is.
Yeah. And yet it doesn't happen overnight. And so hypnosis is a more fast-paced process, more short-lived, short-term, with long-term consequences, good positive consequences, but the working relationship is a shorter time together. And people can choose what they're really looking for. But I do believe that hypnosis is a tool that I think all people can really benefit from because there's a deeper awareness that comes to light through the process of hypnotism and the process of the hypnosis process. So yeah, I've been doing this work this is my fifth year,
Wow,
and um,
congratulations.
thank you. So it has this, just like all things. Sometimes there's a ramp, right? A ramp up as you
Yes,
gain new skills and or
but
our
you're almost to
experience.
the
Yeah.
cycle, the 7 year
Right.
cycle. So you're almost there.
Yeah,
You're on the
yes, right.
upturn.
And it's such a wonderful process. I love seeing my own growth in my own field, right? I keep abreast. I'm in the process of getting some new certifications too, and it's really important to stay informed and stay connected to the field that I work in. As any good professional would tell you, that you stay relevant. To stay relevant, you stay informed. And how important that is to learn as an individual too, right? To tune into yourself, to not dismiss your truth. You have to keep your truth relevant so that you can keep progressing,
Yes.
you know? And Betty, you probably would agree that trauma sometimes short circuits us, and trauma leads to sometimes a lot of self-doubt. Like, did that really happen to me? Or we downplay the event or the experience to be more
Yes.
casual,
Peop
right?
Not only do we downplay it, the people around us don't support us or acknowledge it.
Yeah,
I was a
yeah.
victim of domestic violence and I walked into a police station and I said I wanted to report my partner strangling me. And it
Um,
had been 3 years after the fact, but I came into the police station because I wanted to know who would be able to help me.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
they told me they they all it got everyone's attention in the police station.
yes, sure. It's not every day someone walks in and says that.
And they told me that it was just a stranglement. There's nothing they can do about it.
And you know what? Even legally, if it's if I'm assuming they communicated you true information, but it certainly feels dismissive, doesn't it?
Yes, he
Yeah, like
dismissed me. I
like
almost died.
oh, it's not enough to do something about, and you're like, but but I'm over here deeply impacted by this, so it is enough. In fact, it's overwhelming. It's too much.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, so and we know this studies too, and it doesn't take much to consider how our culture does the the taboo of talking about legitimate abuse, legitimate um, behaviors that are downplay our trauma, and it's a secondary involvement of trauma. So you can have the primary cause of trauma, and then the dismissal of trauma is a secondary kind of trauma unto itself, right?
yes,
Yeah. And having that reoccur and reoccur and reoccur, it really people do
yes.
shut down. Yeah.
It can shut your body down. You can have things. You can. I went through all types of things when I was in this relationship. I was not healthy at all. I would pass out on the street. And
Wow.
then
From stress? From the stress?
from the stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Wow.
guess it's from the stress. Like now that I think it, I was seizuring. Someone told me it was sleeping seizures.
Oh, interesting. Very psychosomatic. Like, I
I would
mean, your
fall to
mind,
the ground and I was fully aware that I was on the ground, but I couldn't move. I would
whoa.
hear everything that they were saying, and my partner would make these excuses that he wasn't associated with me. He left me on the street.
Yeah, very dismissive. And abuse shows up in so many different ways, very publicly sometimes too, in this case,
Hmm.
very publicly. And yet, most of us would think about ourselves. We go, I'm a good person. I would stop to help somebody. But we also are very cautious. Do I want to get involved in somebody else's mess or messiness?
Yes. No one
And
wants to get involved.
yeah, it's a fine line. And I would say we need more people that want to be an advocate for someone that doesn't have their own voice, or their voice has been quieted or silenced. And in relationships like domestic violence doesn't just um stop. I mean, and your voice over time was probably silenced a little bit more and a little bit more until the gaslighting is a very sometimes a very obvious
Yes.
factor of a relationship. And it makes us question our own reality. But then this is why we need other people involved that have our back and that are supportive, because we need someone to come in with a mind of ration and coach us into truth.
Yes.
Uh, You are being abused. This isn't right. You need someone that can be able to
When
be
someone's in
very vocal about
abuse,
it.
they're in denial.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was in denial. My friend told me I was being abused, and I didn't believe her. I
Yeah.
made up excuses.
Well, and Betty, earlier in our discussion before recording, I mentioned to you this idea of a fish in water. A fish doesn't know that they are swimming in their water. That's their
Yes.
environment. That is what they are comfortable with.
I
They do not know.
Yeah, I grew up
Yeah.
with very violent relationships.
I'm sorry for that. Trauma has a way of affecting everybody at different stages and multiple times. And I don't believe anybody is immune. I do believe, though, that certain people have a healthier measure of resilience. Now, for whatever reason, that is a huge variation of resilience, right? But resilience is kind of this floaty word that sometimes it's difficult to pinpoint. But resilience can be an ability to stand up for ourselves. Resilience can be an ability to have a voice when you haven't had a voice so far. And all of a sudden there's an empowerment for it. And that one first token of trying to do something different to save yourself or rescue yourself or be a voice for yourself when no one else is a trajectory of resilience because you've learned something new. You've learned
Yes.
something about your ability. And now you have the neuro wiring of how to do this, and you can do it again. You can repeat that behavior
Yes.
again, right? And
You can rewire your brain for anything.
right, just like the trauma wires it for certain
Yes.
heightened scenarios or feelings or emotions, we can
Hmm.
intentionally rewire the programming. Yeah.
Yes.
In my coaching work, that's very important that people are aware that the way you think today, I sure hope we're not thinking that way in 6 months, because isn't that what change is we're asking for change, and we're asking for change in a very positive way. So we are looking at how to do that in a very forward push on the gas, method.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not passive in this anymore. We're looking for the change. And it can be scary, right? Our own feelings about things can be kind of scary. I don't know if I'm capable. I don't know if I can hold my own hold it on my own anymore. I'm used to having a lot of reliance on other people, but this one I have to do alone. I have to, and but you know what? If I heard something just this weekend. If I So it was the context that I heard this really important idea was a father speaking to his son that was in a wheelchair. And the son had fallen out of the wheelchair, and his son was trying to help himself up. And he said, "Hey, Dad, come help me." And Dad says, "If help you, then you will never know what you can do for yourself." Now, that's an important lesson at some point in our lives. We have to really learn that. If everybody is doing it for us, then how do I know if I'm ever capable of doing it?
Mm.
And there are many things that just fall to me to do. It's my life. I want it better. No one
Yes.
else is going to do that for me.
Nope.
No one else.
I have this fortune cookie
Yeah.
script, and
Uh-huh.
it says, only you can change your life. No one can do it for you.
That's right.
I put it right on my computer.
And so here's the deal. You and I are professionals, and people come to us as an aid. I'm an aid. I am an employable aid. I teach you something. I share an awareness. I help you move into a state of awareness more on an idea. I have a toolbox that I use. I teach tools and strategies and skills, helping people literally practice things that are foreign to them. And they need that. They need somebody that says, "I'm on your team."
Mm.
And how do we do this? And oh, I forgot. I forgot I was strong like that. Pe- It's so empowering to watch people change when they know something new, and it benefits them for the life that they profess they want, right?
Yes.
I want something different. Guess what? We have to go do something different.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that's really important I say to myself is that we have to keep the problem and the person separated, because the problem is the problem. And so we go hard on the problem and soft on people, right? And I love that idea. We are tender people, and I want us to be tender. Abuse has a way of hardening ourselves.
Yes.
I'm tough. Look at me. I don't want to take a beating. I don't even want to pretend I can take a beating. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I want to be soft and I want to be receptive. I want to be emotional. If I don't want to have to always have this front on. And abuse tends to help build up that guard because it's like a callus, right? We need a callus to stay protective. That callus forms as a form of protection. But at the end of the day, I think most of us, we want to be soft and sweet and kind. And I mean sweet and soft and kind to ourselves,
Mm.
self-loving,
Yes.
self-compassionate, self-forgiving. It's easy to blame others that so and so put me in this dynamic, and it's never just quite one-sided. I may allow it. I stayed as long as I stayed. I said yes instead of no, or no instead of yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the field that you and I work in with handling traumas of all kinds,
Mm.
the base root is that it's always emotional for somebody. It's an
Yes,
emotional experience that they had, and they're still in an experience of it emotionally in whatever
yes.
way.
My in Colorado, when I moved out from Connecticut to Colorado, I experienced things on a different level. People there understood me a little bit better, and I connected with this man who had a biology background. He had practiced like K, which is muscle testing.
Mhm.
So he would muscle test me and ask me questions and talk about my husband's death.
Mm,
And I would cry so much, and he would let me cry. And then he told me that I cried like he just died yesterday.
yeah, because this is amazing about the way the mind holds information is it's not a an organ. The brain is the organ, but the mind wants to um keep us safe, right?
Yes,
And sometimes remembering the pain keeps us safe from exposure that may lead to more pain,
yes,
right? And so safety first. But the mind has a way of not knowing the difference between truth and some sort of illusion, right?
yes.
This is why dreams are very powerful because it feels real.
Yeah,
Your mind doesn't know that your memory is 20 years old on this thing that you recall, right? Your mind doesn't know that it's 20 years old. Your intellect, when we consciously talk about things like that we can become aware that it is a 20-year-old memory or I can recall that thing from 20 years ago. But the mind does not know the difference that it was just yesterday or 20 years ago. And
yeah,
so with that in mind, it links into the power center, these emotional power center, where it can feel like just yesterday, even though it wasn't.
mm,
And that's really powerful because we need to remember this is some things I have to often remind clients. People want to forget. I want to just move on and forget about it. I hear that all the no, 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 no. Forgetting doesn't serve us. We really actually do need to remember what we've been through because that remembering teaches you about your resilience, teaches you about your struggle. And let's not forget what you have overcome because that is very empowering. Very empowering.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's a difficult journey, but the results of it is
yeah,
you recognize yourself and you
yes,
realize where you've been. And it's more than a job title, it's more than your bank account. It's
yes.
it's who you are, it's who
It's
you
who you
become
are.
yourself.
Yes, yes,
And you
for
fall
sure.
in love with yourself and you vibrate high and
I
you
love that.
attract the things that you want.
Fall in love with yourself. And a lot of times there's parts of our world or the job that we go to or the home we return to that just don't pay attention to those parts of us. And
No.
who else will do it if we don't? I am entitled to care about myself deeply. I want to care about myself deeply. Even if no one else does, I can do that for myself.
Yes.
I get to do that for
No
myself.
one
And look,
cares about you more than you. You have to take care of
yes,
yourself first. You
yes,
have to
yes,
feed yourself. You have to take care of your mental state and protect yourself because no one cares about you the same way
yeah,
that you can care about yourself.
right.
Even a husband or a partner, they might not be that detailed.
That's a very good point. And that leads to this other idea that having a good coach or a good colleague or a best friend or if whether it's a hired professional or just somebody else in your circle of influence, it's very important that we find our tribe wherever that
Yeah,
is. Yeah,
it
and to
is.
link arms with people that won't be dismissive and that say, you know what? I understand what you've been through, even though not that, I can sympathize with that. I would not want what you have experienced, but I can see how it's deeply shaping. I can see how it's terrifying, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. We need a lot
When
more compassion in our self-compassion, but compassion generally, I think, just in our culture, the US culture. We're
Yes.
very dismissive and it makes people put this front on or a cold shoulder to other people like look
Yeah.
at me, I can take a beating and still keep going. And you know what? I don't want to take a beating and still keep going.
No.
No, let's be soft to each other. Let's be kind. Let's put the violence away and bring out some harmony. Because at the baseline level, all of us want is a certain measure of respect, certain a measure of visibility, like, hello, I'm here. I thought I mattered, right? Some measure of visibility and some measure of like, are we loved or liked? Do I matter? So if I disappear, does anybody notice? You know, all of us, I think, can agree that that would matter.
Mhm.
And in the healing work, it's helping people see themselves because we don't change anybody else.
No.
We can share with other people, we can invite, we can uh, disseminate information, but we do not change other people. We do not.
No.
We
You can
influence.
plant seeds, and when they're ready, they'll come back to you.
Yeah. And here's another factor about life too. The right people stay and the wrong people. Somehow there's a sifting.
Yes.
Now, right, and that's a natural ebb and flow of the way friendships work or work works, right? I'm employed here and I'm employed over here. Even relationships have a season sometimes, right? My best friend is a season for this and no longer, or even in marital relations or partnerships, right? It can be seasonal. Some seasons people stay 50 years.
Yeah.
Some, some are shorter. So right or wrong, it's not a debate of right or wrong, but it's an important idea to remember that there's an ebb and flow of cycles of life in all things. And we
Mhm.
need the right people, and the right people we can invite in, and the wrong people we better send away. Like, let's be intentional about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm setting intention with everything I do and the people I let in my life.
intention. Yes.
Yeah.
Starting the day with intention, like how do I want this day to feel? How do I want this day to run? The people that are part of my day, how do I want that interaction to land on them? Like they're going to take away from this experience. So, what's the intent of that takeaway? You know, um, I've had some people share with me, well, that's a lot, Michon. You make us responsible for how other people are. And I'm like, we are responsible for other people. Last time I checked, I'm not living on an island. I have an influence. I can be a jerk to my neighbor or not. So let's not, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's I've always
yeah.
had friendly neighbors, but I've my friend I met her, she lives in the booty and she has a racist neighbor.
Mm,
He gives her trouble all the time. They have a camera, but it doesn't really help, but the guy gets on her all the time.
and people will pick and choose what they want to emphasize out of life, right? That person is picking and choosing how they're
Mm,
living life. But remember, this is a really key important ingredient to remember about how people live life. We are always in a seeking state for safety.
yes.
Always. I need safety for my meals. Where's my next meal coming from today? Is my job secure so I have a next meal? Security could be home life, financial life, emotional security. Do I have it's security, but it's in two forms. It's usually physical, but we have a high need for psychological safety,
Yes.
right? Are you safe to talk this concept and idea with? Are you going to keep it private or are you going to mock me through the process, right? Partnerships, best friends, work, even random experiences that can happen in the grocery store,
Yes.
right? Safety. We're always on the mind has always got a little antenna out
Yeah,
for,
we have to feel safe and we have to
yeah,
trust. So, you have to earn trust because it's an exchange of energy. You have to make the other
yeah,
person feel safe. And
always.
I
Yeah.
meet a lot of men that don't know how to make a woman feel safe.
Yes. Yeah. But see, this is a learned thing. It actually is a real skill. First of all, we have to know about it. You have to know about it so you can pay attention to it. And if you don't even understand that safety is in the forefront of all of our primal minds, it's a part of the lizard brain, if you will, right? Safety. Am I going to live another day? Because primal mind wants us reproducing, right? If you want to be very biological about it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like we can be interested in connection because I don't want to feel isolated or ostracized from my community.
Mhm.
So safety is a real important feature, but a lot of people have to be taught this skill of remembering. So if I introduce myself to a new group of people, I actually keep that in the forefront of my mind. I wouldn't necessarily, it may change or dictate how I approach the group or what is the nature of their relationship already. So you can see what it could be like and make sure that there is safety for all. Remember, psychological safety is is always the mind is always scanning for it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. With the work that you and I do, a lot of people can be very apprehensive about sharing a very personal story of their own trauma.
Yes.
And I have a belief that sharing isn't always necessary. Now, if somebody wants to share, I will
No,
listen.
they don't have to share because
But I
sometimes I
never,
just see
yeah.
images and pass a message and they they get the message, but they say things like, "I've never told anyone about this. How do you
Mm,
know about this?" And then that's it. And I don't really know what they know, but
yeah.
for some reason they triggered their trauma and it was clear. I remember I saw inside this woman's chakra. It was completely bare, like
Mm.
concrete. It's a sacral chakra. It should be juicy and orangey.
Yeah, and when we work with people and we have a skill or an aptitude that we can convey back to them and impart information that can help them in their own progress.
Hmm.
My goal is to always make sure that your goal is met. That's my goal. My
Hmm.
goal is to ensure your goal is met. So, and in that same vein is to ensure that safety is always a part of the dialogue and the energy that's in this space, because it's hard to advance ourselves without having our baseline needs met, and sense of safety is a baseline need. So I never ask or even encourage anyone to tell me. I just say, what is it that you'd like to share? That's whatever you want to share is what you share, and that's what I
Yeah.
will know. And it's enough. If over time you wanted to share more, then that's fine. But I'm not like, tell me the details, because telling the details of something experience, especially trauma, is
Hmm.
re-triggering.
Yes.
Again, because the mind doesn't know the difference in a timeline. It just knows it as an idea. And it can feel, the way our brain is wired, it feels like a retelling makes us experience it again. And we want to be cautious with that as well as practitioners in our field. We want to be cautious that we're not taking somebody down an unnecessary road of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started out, I just didn't realize that people weren't ready to deal with their trauma. So I scared a lot of people away. But I was really
You know what?
honest. My energy is really intense.
And you know what? You are the right person for the right person. Remember that,
Yeah.
right? Me too. I've had a lot of consultations. Some people choose based on personality. Sometimes people choose on timing. Whatever their reasons. I still have an employee. I still am employed. I still can have clients. And you know what? People choose for all kinds of reasons, right? But that doesn't change the way I'm going to meet someone entirely, because that's what makes me me. And if I'm not a right fit, then you get to find somebody else.
Yes.
But I like the way I've built my practice. I also think that I have a history of actually living several different difficult experiences that I've had a near-death experience. I've had just a whole host of different things.
Mhm.
I've actually had two near-death experiences, and those can be frightening. And in the same sense, I'm so grateful that I've had them because I can actually see the counterbalance of that and the joy of life.
Yes.
The joy of life. The counterbalance is really important. The contrast illuminates what is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And not everybody wants to share their experience to the details, and that's fine. Nobody needs to. But we just take people on journeys, explore. I have a 9-step protocol that I lead people through.
Mhm. Tell us more
And
about that.
yeah, so really the beginning parts of meeting with somebody is to help me understand what they want. So we look at their to get to know them. I call it know thyself. You have to know thyself, meaning oftentimes our trauma will shut us down and leave us unaware of our real truth because we've been programmed or coached by somebody in that in dynamic that wants us to stay small or less. So for whatever reason, right? People learn how to become shells of themselves and they forget that vibrancy that they once occupied or the fullness of the self that they once occupied. So we need to reconnect that to the person. We need that person to reconnect that you're a solid individual, even if there's nobody else close to you. You
Mhm.
matter. So you got to know these things back to yourself. And I call them those are the origin ideas, like your values. Do you even know what you value? What's your value system? Do you have a moral system? Those are kind of linked. Um, do you have a personal motto or a standard of practice for yourself, right? Like the I will do and I will not do list. Do you know those things about yourself? Like sometimes people are gossipers or they'll never, I will never gossip, right? You got to know.
Mhm.
So we have those conversations. Also, you got to know what you want for the future. You got to know where I don't know where I'm headed. If I don't plan where I'm going, I will just go somewhere. You have to have a plan. So what's the plan? I help people formulate that plan. I do not create the plan for people.
No.
I help them in the journey asking the right questions so that they have clarity. Also, after know yourself, it's really important that we also learn and understand the brain. The brain as an organ is wired in a certain way for preservation or attention to certain details. Those attention to certain details are again based in psychological or physical safety. So it's really important to be for me to, I think all of us should understand our basic biology of how stress works in the brain and how emotional patterns are laid down as an emotional memory in the brain. So I actually teach some neuroscience because this is you. It is all of us. And so if I'm having an interaction with someone, I can remember, oh, this is the part of my brain that's working right now, and my fear center is heightened. I
Mhm.
can remember that about myself and become a little more aware of the control I have on the dynamic.
Mhm.
It also makes me very aware that somebody in this dynamic is probably feeling the same way, or they're having some other emotional experience too. And the same things that are happening to me are likely being experienced by somebody else. And I can have a compassionate response for this dynamic
Yeah.
because it can be scary for everybody involved. It's scary to confront an abuser. It's scary to confuse somebody that you think lied about you or that you want to, even if you're like, I don't know what the problem is, I just have to go investigate. It can feel difficult to do that. So I
Yes.
think people need to know biological baselines about the way our bodies work. Also, I did not cultivate this, but there's this working model. that's out there called the 8 dimensions of wellness. And I think it's really important that we examine what parts of life feel most messy. So we take 4 of the 8 and we try and use our time to build better security, again, safety, psychological, right? But real tools built into those 4 dimensions of wellness. And some people, almost everybody wants a better handle of emotional wellness. And then there's other things in that as well. And then I take people on a journey of understanding, excuse me, of understanding emotions and how we have a core grouping of emotions and like anger, fear, guilt, and a host of others. So primary sets of emotions and secondary sets of emotions, and how we can identify, learning the skill of identifying what emotion you have. And we also need to identify how do we um, bring us back to a state of calm or homeostasis, and what will really solve that problem. So if you're angry, a hamburger isn't going to be the solution. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I can't just bring you some random thing and call it a solution. It If you're hungry, then we can do that. But if you're emotional or you have some sort of emotional need, not any old thing is going to do. So
Hmm.
we have to solve the problems with the right ingredients,
Yes.
with the right thing. So learning and moving through the states of understanding emotions, the primary and secondary emotions. And then another thing that I take people to understand is most of us have a primary learned ability of connection, and it's attachment style, and it's usually formulated with the individual and their primary caregiver at a very young age of infancy and toddlerhood. So the way a caretaker cares for people determines that relationship, that give and take, or the boundaries set in that relationship, or the attentiveness of the caregiver sends true and lasting signals to the child about the way they are viewed or desired even. If I'm constantly ignored by my caretaker, then I learn that I am not worth somebody's time. Now, a young child doesn't have articulation of that kind of wording,
Hmm.
but emotionally the imprint is made,
Yes.
right? Okay, so it's really important that we have this discussion about your caretaker. Home life, how do you think home life shaped you in a way that you're showing up now this way in your relationships?
Mm.
So some people may say, well, I feel very needy. I'm always very needy. Were you very needy as a child? No, I don't think so. But my mom didn't care for me the way I wanted. Well, that made you very needy because your needs were met.
Mm.
No fault of your own, by the way. Okay. So this is really important because primary caregivers are the ones that are responsible for that. But are primary caregivers, moms and dads, even aware of their parenting attachment style is even a thing? Do they know? Unless we're educated, we don't know. So it's really important that that is an underlining idea that's very well understood. And what it leads to is understanding the connections we now make with other people. So if you're struggling in a partnership, marriage, friendship, coworker, boss relationship, I promise you some of your attachment style um, deficiencies are being displayed in those relationships.
Hmm.
So we look at those and learn a little bit about them. Now, I don't ever diagnose anybody. I don't have the credentials to diagnose anybody. But awareness. Now that you know that there's these different attachment styles, you can decide how you play this out in your modern relationships today based on what you know about your primary relationship. And then boundaries is part of it as well, right? Because usually that parent-child relationship, if it's very laissez-faire, then the child had a lot of freedom and not a lot of restriction. And that can feel in a new relationship with somebody that's not used to that, it can feel like that person has no boundaries. Like you're just all over the place because realistically, there were very few boundaries in there. So that's the style that somebody has. So attachment style definitely impacts boundary making, boundary setting, and boundary keeping. So do you like a good question to ask a client is, do you find that in your employment you just put up with it? You know, like, are you a people pleaser? You just, yep, I'm the rug on the road, you know, you can walk all over me, you know, but those are part of the boundaries that aren't learned or not learned.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's unit 5 out of my 9. And number 6 is healthy bodies, healthy mind, healthy bodies.
Mhm.
So understanding the synergy of the mind and the body and putting these components together.
Mhm.
And and then unit 7 is quantum energy, which you've alluded to and spoken directly to here in our conversation with energy work or chakra work and
Yes.
frequency work, and understanding that all matter. As a as a former biology teacher, and I studied a lot in chemistry and neuroscience and things like that. It's all energy, right? And even at a cellular level, even if you break down cellular levels and you're breaking down things further, we even at the atomic level, it's energy fields. The moving parts, the electron part of the atom is creating an electronic field,
Yes.
electronic. So understanding this, and a lot of people think it's voodoo or voodoo or what, and it's okay that there's a variety of opinions. My job is to illuminate somebody's mind to something new, and maybe it will make a difference for them. So I'm going to show all kinds of stuff to people and topics and ideas. And maybe they're like, I've never thought of that. And I think that's the path I want to pursue. I want to read more about that. I want to learn more about that. And it is empowering when we learn something new and then feel inclined to embrace it and make it our own and find out how it can solve your problems.
Yep.
And it's incredibly empowering.
Mhm.
I don't do any of the work. My work is to show you resources, teach you ideas, and let's put these ideas together. Now, I can practice with you in your real life as we unfold through the course of months, right? When we work together for months. But I don't do the work. My work is to bring you new ideas and to get you interested in yourself again.
Mhm.
Self-love, right? There's a lot of need for some self-love and self-compassion.
Mhm.
That's so quantum energy is number 7, unit 7, and unit 8 is to be guided within. And so guided within is my self-hypnosis protocol tool that I teach people, the blending of both spirit, mind, and body in a hypnotic state. So I teach people self-hypnosis technique so that they have a tool to transcend and find a balance and a peaceful place. So it's a real strategy to use in states of anxiety. But there's more education about why the mind body spirit link, right? And so that's the last teaching module. And then module 9 is working with the client, where the client comes back for the next month as we use that last month for them to share all of these connections. So, and all of the connections that they've made, I call them takeaways. So, as we've worked together, this idea that I shared, you had a takeaway of this. How has that served you? How does it continue to serve you? And because we're now intentional with the life we live, how is it going to continue to be
Yeah.
intentional? It's okay. There's always permission that people can just do this thing right now while we're doing it together. And this is the time and you're going to benefit only in these parameters. That's never my goal. My goal is that I've taught you something amazing and interesting about you, and you're going to go share it. And you're going to go share it with your family. You're going to go share it with your husband or your partner or your coworker. Because the more people that are enlightened to these new ideas of self-compassion and thriving, the better our communities are going to be, and the better we're going to be able to interact with each other in a harmonious way. Because we see the impact of it. We don't have to look far to find harm. I've been harmed, I've been ignored, I've been whatever, harm. It's harder to find the good news. So go be the good news. Teach
Yeah.
something, somebody go teach this good thing to somebody else and let it be good between you two and you guys
Hmm.
practice. And
Yeah.
then teach it to your children, bring it into your family and say, hey kids, tonight I learned this from Michon or this from Betty and take it to the next generation because we need good to travel around and be spread around. Yeah. So my unit number 9 is how do they plan to do that? Because it's it's not just a roadmap for that individual of how they're going to continue on the journey we've started. Remember, what we do is just the beginning, right? But now that you know, what are you going to do? And how are you going to be the teacher of this to other people? Because you haven't, I personally believe when we know something really smart and very empowering, we naturally want to share the good news with somebody else. And last time I checked, most of us do want more good things.
Mm.
So that's what we do in number 9. So that's my 9-step system that I work with people on.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and you can spend definitely it's a lot of conversation, but people do more work at home than they do with me, right? I bring questions to the table and then you're going to go work on that.
Yeah.
And you're going to go do this exercise. So I give people books to read and I give people assignments and I give people thought. It's mostly thought assignments. I want you to go think about this and journal this and read and write something down and come back to me. And this is a true vulnerable station of life that I want somebody to really examine. If you're not honest, gut-wrenching honest with yourself, you're not going to be gut-wrenching honest with other people. And that's a shallow life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know
The
that was a
more
lot, right?
honest I am with myself, the more happier I am. I'm
Yeah.
attracting the right people, the people who understand me, people who want to get to know me.
Hmm.
And that's what I want others to know. That don't be afraid to tell your truth.
Yes.
Someone will
Yeah.
understand and someone's
Yes.
searching.
And you know what? For the most part, in people are not offended. Uh, they're not offended that I've learned something new about myself. Like that's not offensive. I've just learned something new about myself. Most people could be offended if I'm going to then make other people have to live that way too, right? Like don't force it on me. A lot of people want that have a lot of resistance for that. And I get that. Again, we don't change anybody else. If you want the goodness, you're free to come and partake, right?
Yeah.
But you know, but now that I know, I have an this is what I say to myself every day. Now that I know, I have an obligation to actually do what I know. I know it. So
Mm.
what good is knowing it if I don't use it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, can you imagine on your job if your employer said, I want you to have all of these credentials, come to your job interview and you know all this. We'll hire you because you know all of it, but we're never going to employ you to use it. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh.
No, we want you to use your goodness. We want you to use your experience and not just your goodness. I want to use your pain to turn over new leaves. It
Mm.
is so important to step out from pain into a learned experience. Super important. If we're just living in the pain, then we haven't learned from it.
Hmm.
But to learn from it and to understand its purpose and understand, even if its purpose is to crush us because we need rock bottom, because I need to turn my life around. I don't know. Could be, could be. but it all has a purpose. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not revealed for years. Um, Sometimes maybe not even in this life. I don't know, right? But I don't have to be small because of it. And my own story with my own life experiences, I decided that I have an inventory of skills and new tools that I believe people need. And I see it in our day-to-day living that people need real help. How to do it. How to do it. I help people with the how. A lot of people are like, oh, I think I know what to do. Okay. So what are you doing then? You say you know it. What are you doing that is really making move the needle? And those people don't need me, and that's great.
Hmm.
Some people do need me, and I'm here to help,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Yeah. And some people need Betty, and Betty offers something different and a different personality or whatever. I don't know. All kinds. This is why I don't ever claim to be the be all end all. I claim to have important information that is necessary at some phase of your journey.
Yeah.
Some phase of your journey. Yeah. May not be today. Okay, that's fine. I release you to the universe. It's really important to be freeing to not attach ourselves to some of the outcomes as
Yeah.
practitioners, right? Like,
That is the hardest thing I had to learn was not to attach myself to the outcome.
uh, because we desire for people like I have to remind my client, like, you called me and said you wanted something. I have to remind you of that, Matt.
Yeah.
You called me and told me you wanted something. And when I say it back to you, don't be mad,
I've
right?
learned that people don't know what they want, and when you give them what they want, they get
Mm.
offended.
That's why there's a really important, it's just really important to really ask a lot of questions. You have to ask the why of the why,
Yeah.
the why of the why. So, okay, so I use this as an example. So somebody will say, I want to sleep better. I'm not sleeping. Why do you want to sleep better? Oh, well, I'll feel better. Well, why do you want to feel better? Well, because I have to go to work tomorrow. Well, why do you have to go to work tomorrow? What's so important about going to work tomorrow? Well, I can't take care of myself tomorrow. I won't pay my bills. Okay, well, why is that? The why of the why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So better sleep I mean, there's a multitude of reasons because each one of those is a reason, right?
Mm.
Yeah. But now that okay, let's just fast forward and say 6 months has gone by and you do now experience great sleep. What does great sleep get you? Because last time I checked, great sleep, nobody is like, yes, I need to go work more hours because I feel rejuvenated from my sleep. Nobody says that.
Mm.
People want better sleep because they're less moody. It lessens contention in their families. People want better sleep so that they don't have a migraine in the morning. People want
Mm.
better sleep because I hate having the fatigue and the tiredness. Those are real reasons, right? Well, if you didn't have fatigue and all of that, what would you be doing? Oh, I'd be playing with my grandkids. Oh, so you want that. That's what you really want. You want to feel well enough to play with your grandkids. Okay. So we got to know the whys of the whys and several layers of that, in fact. And it's a really important little mental investigation. Well, why, not just why do you want it? What, what does it get you once you have it? Because that's what we're looking for. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Mm.
Like, why bother working with somebody? You're looking for something. You're looking for greater
Yeah.
peace of mind. You're looking for relief or validation, even.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone needs validation.
yeah. And what I heard you say
And
was, I validate. What I heard you say was
mhm.
not a reiteration, but a word for word retelling, right?
Mhm.
Like what I heard you say was you just complained about how I don't know. That's not what she said. What I heard you say was you are lazy
Mhm.
and don't clean up after yourself. Right? That's what you heard, not what you interpreted it to be, not your makeup workaround. Yeah. Yeah, and coaching work and the work that I do, it's I literally see people's lives change and I can see the thought happen.
Mhm.
I can see it transfer across their face. I can see the change happen.
Mhm.
The emotional aha at
Yeah,
times. Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. It's really wonderful. I'm sure Betty, you have experience with that as well. Seeing people really,
Yeah, they go through a lot, but they smile at the end. We all
yeah,
smile at the end. And I've learned that the people who smile the brightest have gone through the worst. And that's why they smile through
yeah,
thick.
right. But you know what? We leverage. It's a tool, again, a skill. It's a real skill to leverage what we've been through that's been difficult and leverage it and turn it for our good. Sometimes I draw really ugly pictures sometimes for my clients, and I'll say, "Okay, you ready? I'm going to draw you an ugly picture. This thing of your past, it can either sit on top of you or it can be something you stand on top of.
Hmm.
It's if you continuously place it as a burden, an experience that makes you small, that means you're under it and you're
Hmm.
weighed down by it. So let's do the work of moving it off of you and under you, where you stand a little taller because you've grown from it. You've moved into new spaces of thinking, feeling, and living from it. So we're going
Yes.
to literally take it from off of your head and the weight on your shoulder and off your back, and we're going to put it under your feet, and you're going to stand a little taller from doing that work.
Yes.
And it's really a great visual because all of us are like, yeah, you know what? That's a heavy load. I don't want to carry that anymore. Well, then let's do that. Let's find a way to do that.
Yes.
And another thing too, Betty, you may see this with some clients. It's very easy and very natural. There's nothing wrong with this that we cycle.
Yeah.
I I give away I give it away, I give my pain away, I feel like I'm free. Oh, and then I take it all back and I like we have a habit of it's a conditioned experience and a conditioned response that I'm used to feeling my anxiety or my nervousness or my angst and giving it away. That feels very foreign and it's uncomfortable. Remember, going back to this idea of psychological safety, it can feel psychologically unsafe.
Hmm.
So we have to balance pace of graduating somebody into healthier ways of living. It takes
Yeah.
time. It takes time.
It takes
Yeah.
time. It takes at least a year.
Takes a lot. Yeah, it depends on the concern, depends on the ambition of somebody, even if they're like,
Yeah.
let's hit this hard. I work with clients twice a week. I
Hmm.
want to see you twice a week, and I give an hour each time.
Hmm.
People have really quick turnarounds. It's not like your whole, I mean, it's possible that we can have some really significant turnarounds quite quickly because in out of 30 days, in 8 visits, there could be something very, very different about your
Yeah.
life already. And that's not, if you think about it, it took us 15 years to get here, but in 8 hours we can change that. Oh my gosh, that's actually feels like a miracle in some
Yeah,
cases.
it is.
Yeah. So I really pride myself to say that I know that the work that we do, we can have some real good movement at the end of a first month, for sure.
Hmm.
And then it's just keeping up that pace and the stride and the application and the wisdom and again, application. If we don't use what we know, why? What are we doing? We got to use it.
Yeah.
We got to use it. And it's supposed to be transformative, meaning you are changed. That's what a transformation is. Trans means across. Formation is the shape. So we've gone across the
Hmm.
shape, meaning, right? Like the
Yeah.
shape is different. You've traveled. There's a distance inherent in the word transformation.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Yeah. This has
Thank you for
been
letting me share,
great.
Betty.
You've
Thank
shared
you.
so much information, Michon. I love
Oh,
it.
yes. And on top of that, Betty, I am writing my parenting coaching book. So I
Oh,
wanted
yes.
to
That's
share about that.
amazing.
From the experiences I've had with clientele, I've seen some of the repetitive um, problem spots. It's
Yeah.
common that a lot of people have problem spots, and they're fairly common across families. And so I've written a book. It's not published yet. I'm in the process of doing my editing to get it ready to send to the publisher.
Hmm.
But it's a parenting coaching book so that parents can educate themselves on concepts that will be valuable to teach themselves, and then they impart that to their children. So my book is to coach the parent to be a better parent on an idea that will help their whole family so that once the parent embraces this concept, they are able to teach it into their family and integrate it as a cultural element. Like, this is collectively our family knows this and we do this. And I
Yeah.
have 73 concepts in my book that are aiming to help a families restructure the way they connect. The baseline is better connection and love and harmony in families.
Hmm.
And it always starts with the one, and I am the one. So if I can get harmonious and right inside myself and understand my own self a little bit better, then I can connect more with my mate and partner. And then as a union or a unity, a formation of a unity, then the idea that we then employ inside our families, whatever your family looks like, right?
Hmm.
So those concepts, 73 different concepts to teach and embrace, so then you can direct your family for better outcomes. And some of them are fairly known. I mean, the baselines of understanding why it's important to be honest and tell the truth. I mean, that's kind of a given. But then again, you look at our world and we, again, for reasons of psychological safety, we lie.
Hmm.
So it's really important that a family understand why is it um, a primitive outcome for us to want to protect ourselves and lie. And what do you
Yeah.
do? Because the brain wants to be in safety, so lying creates a sense of safety, even though most of us would say, please don't lie to me, I want to hear the truth. So why does it happen in families, and how does a parent work with that? It's really it's super ordinary, telling the truth. Lying, very ordinary. But the way I write about it helps empower parents to understand, when how to use this.
Hmm.
So it's a very different
Yeah, it's a
style of
really good
book.
tool.
It's very I've got all kinds of topics, and each chapter is structured with the science behind the idea, why I've even written about this idea, because science has studied it, and referencing the scientists or the thoughts, the formal thought was from.
Hmm.
Um, and and it's well researched, so I'm working on that. I'm hoping to have it to a publisher by the end of the year, mid-year, by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
excited about it.
excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a work in progress. I started in 24. So it takes a lot
Okay.
of work to write a book and
Yeah, it
research it.
does.
And so I'm very excited about it. It's a real labor of love. I will also write a second book, which is really aiming to target the audience is children or youth, to understand why their parents are the way their parents are, because children are part of that dynamic and play a very important role in a family setting. And many times children can feel quite secondary in their home life. Like,
Yeah.
but there is a powerful position in the family that children take. How many times does the mood of the child totally dictate what's going on, right? If there's a tantrum and a fit, it changes the dynamics of the household. So
Yeah.
how do children, so the book is aimed for children this is the second book that's coming. It's not even started, but this is what I'll do, is to give children their own claim to the power that they have and how important their role is in creating a harmonious family because it's not just their parents' responsibility.
Yeah.
So, so why is mom and dad asking me to do this thing? And I provide the information to the child to understand, oh, that's what my parents are doing. That's why they asked that of me. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Because sometimes it just feels like, oh, my parents just asked too much of me, um, or I don't understand. Oh, it's like whatever. Well, it's, kids are important, equal players in a family dynamic. So
Yeah.
they should be empowered too. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And you know what? When kids go to school, teachers, because I was a former teacher, I know this. Teachers require children, which is the
Yes.
student, to know. I expect you to know how to be a decent person. I expect you to know how to sit and interact with peers that are different than you. I expect you to be a contributor to the environment.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Where did,
expectations.
yeah, where does that come from, right? It's
Mm.
usually a home life experience that has been overt in those instructions. But if it's not overt, what if you have a parent that doesn't know those things? The child still is being called upon them to know them by going into public settings, right? Okay.
Mm.
So it's really important that the child does have some instruction because if it's not coming from mom or dad, it comes from somewhere. And believe it or not, everybody is going to teach your kids something.
Yep.
Is it going to be the right thing? Is it going to be what you want?
Hmm.
So I wrote these book. I wrote the book I'm writing, and I'm going to write that one because I've had so many conversations with parents and children. I've had my youngest client was 6. I've done. I've worked with many teenagers and many just that young adult, that 19, 20, 21, as they transition from
Hmm.
parent care onto self-care, right? It's a very formidable, life-changing year. So
Yeah.
it's a real important kids of all ages, those are still kids. I know they're adults, but the ability to bear the load of their responsibilities is still not fully upon them. Um, they need help. They need to be empowered. So that's why I'm writing
Yeah.
those two. Yeah. Thanks,
That's
Betty.
great. I love that. I love that you're doing so much.
Thank you. I decided when I started my business in this particular protocol of work is because I actually do want to change the world. I actually do
Yeah.
want to contribute one person at a time to changing the world because as soon as somebody has an internal shift, they take it home, they take it to work, and the whole space changes because they're acting different and they have new beliefs and new ways of living.
Hmm.
That is changing the world. Because, Betty, if I love you instead of hit you, isn't that a difference in your life?
Yeah, it is.
Right? It is. It's a very different experience. And now you get to be of your fuller self too, because you get to feel safe as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank
All
you for
right.
letting me share.
Yeah, it was good. All right, we're gonna wrap up. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
Just that I invite people to research there's lots of protocols out there, but I would love and appreciate any contact if somebody wanted to reach out to me. I have a website. My business name is Rooted to Rise, and it's Rooted to Rise Coaching with the number 2. And that name is very intentional because we have to root ourselves in truth to rise to something new. And I wanted people to feel empowered by that title, my business title, Rooted to Rise Coaching. And I have a website, rootedtorisecoaching.com, and I'm on I'm in the database of Psychology Today. So I've been vetted by that organization, and I keep my licenses current, and I've got new trainings that I'm doing, so new certifications. So I work remotely with a lot of clients, so distance or your location doesn't have to be right in my neighborhood, so that's good. We can do teleservices
Hmm.
via Zoom. I take a lot of consultations by phone, and then we meet for the first time usually when we start. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for being on our show, and I really appreciate you sharing your story and so
Thank
honestly and
you.
candidly. I hope this helped a lot of women understand where they're at, and there's people out there to help them. Reach out to one of us if you need to. Our contact information is in the description. Join my Facebook group, which is in the description, to connect with us, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thank you.
Thank you.